Welcome back YouTube. My name is Dennis Panuta for tutorials.eu. In this video we will have a look at our new behavior script, which is the script that we have created in the last video. If you want to create a script yourself, you can do right click in your assets, create, and click on C# script. Another way to create a script is, for example, click on one of your game objects, for example the cube, then add a component, and here on the right hand side you can create a new script. You can add a name here, new behavior script, and you can choose the language here. So if you want to program in JavaScript, you could choose that here as well. And then simply create and add, and it will be added to your assets folder. But I'm not going to do it this way because I have this script already. So let's open up that script. And usually if we double click it, it opens in our IDE, for example, in Visual Studio. And it could also open up in Monodevelop if you use that, or in any other IDE that supports C# and Unity. I highly recommend, however, to use Visual Studio. All right, so let's have a look at this new behavior script. Because we have already 16 lines of code, even though we haven't written any single line or even any single symbol yet. So what we have here is we have 3 lines of using something, which means that we are using a namespace. You can consider those, or you can imagine those being modules which add a bunch of functionality to your script. And those allow us to use this functionality. So we're not using it currently because we have not used any of those 2. As you can see, they are grayed out, but we are using some of the Unity engine functionality. And we do that within Monobehaviour, because Monobehaviour is one of the classes that is within Unity engine. If you want to know more about Monobehaviour, what you can do is hold your command key and press on Monobehaviour. What that does, it opens up the assembly browser, and then you will find here the information about this class that has plenty of code. That might be a bit too much for you as a beginner, but if you know programming already, you might make sense out of it. In the end, there are plenty of methods which we can use in our games or in our scripts in general. All right, so what do we have here? We have a public class called new behavior script : Monobehaviour. This colon means that we are inheriting from Monobehaviour, which means that we can use the functionality of Monobehaviour, and we have the behavior of this class, and this class is Monobehaviour. So within those things, there is somewhere the start and the update method, which are already there. So we don't need to write exactly when the start method or the update method is called. It's all done within our Unity engine namespace. So all of that is written there. We don't need to write that code. So now that allows us to make it super simple. We can simply say, all right, we want to do something when the start method is called, then we want to do something whenever the update method is called. So those 2 methods, they are within a class, and that's generally how classes are built. They have variables and they have methods. And we can create our own variables. We will do that in the next video. And we can create our own methods, or we could use methods that are internally created already. So we don't need to build them ourselves. We just need to call them, or we can override them to make our own of it. But all of that is going to be covered as soon as we get there. What is important for now is that you know that we automatically create a class, and that has automatically 2 methods which we could choose to delete, or we can choose to use them. So let's have a quick look at what those 2 do. For example, let's write via print statement onto our console. So for example, we say,
hey, don't forget to subscribe and like the video.
Start method was called. And in the update method, we do the same thing. Print update method was called. So now we will know within Unity, within our console, we will get information about when what was called. So at which point was the start method called, and when was the update method called. What do those 2 methods do? The start method is called at the beginning when the game object that contains our new behavior script is created. The update method is then called with every single frame. So as soon as the object is there, the update method will be called all the time, once per frame, which means if we have, for example, 60 frames per second, then this update method will be called 60 times within that second. All right, let's check that out before we go any further. So let's save that script. And now let's go to Unity. If we run the code now like that, there will be nothing printed onto our console. As you can see, maybe it's best if I don't go to maximize on play here. So let's run that again. Go to our console and you can see nothing happens. So no information was printed. If we now, for example, add that new behavior script to our cube, then we can see it here on the right hand side. So I clicked on the cube and in the inspector on the right hand side, I can find my new behavior script. And for example, I could remove it and I can alternatively drag it in like that. So I added it like with a drag, remove that component again. And the third way is to add a component, then go to scripts and then add this new behavior script. So now our cube has the script. If we run the code now, we will see a different story here. So let's go to our console and you can see start method was called, has a 1 here at the end, which means it is called once. And update method was called, has already been called 500 times. So that means it has been called with every single frame. So as you can see, well, maybe you can roughly estimate how many frames per second I have. It should be like 30 or 50, something like that. So it's called very many times. And that's what you have to consider. So whenever you write your code, within the update method should not be any heavy code that will load many information or will execute a lot of different functionality, because otherwise that could reduce the performance of your game. So keep the update method lightweight and use the start method for initialization. What that means will make a lot more sense when we go on with the course. So no worries if you don't understand what initialization means. No worries if you don't understand what this print statement means. Well, in the end, it's really just for programming services. It's really just for us so that we know that, so that we can see within Unity what's going on. So that's what we've just written for ourselves. So we can, for example, check what value our player has. So for example, how many points he has, or whether he tapped a button, or those kind of things. That's what we can use this for. Two more things. What we haven't covered yet is the 2 forward slashes. Double forward slash means this line is a comment. So everything that follows this double slash will not be considered within the game. It will not be executed. It will not do anything. It's really just for us in code so that we can read our code in a better way. So now we understand, okay, the start method is for initialization. The update method is called once per frame. All right, very helpful. All right. So then the next thing is we have curly brackets as the start and the end of something. So this is the start of our class and this is the end of our class. Same thing with the start method. This is the start of the method, curly bracket open, and this is the end of our method, curly bracket closes. And of course, after every single statement, for example, this print statement, we need to have our semicolon. All right, great. So these are some very basic things I just wanted to show you. And in the next video, we are going to have a look at variables. And if you haven't understood everything you saw here, no worries, you'll get a better feeling for it later on. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a like. And if you have any questions or suggestions, then leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And by the way, if you really love the content and you would like to have more of it, or pretty much all of it, then of course, check out the link in the description to my whole course. See you in the next video. Fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.